My friends, today I want to speak to the man who walks alone. The man who wakes up every morning, looks around, and finds no one beside him. The world tells him he is missing something, that without a partner, without romantic love, he is incomplete. But let me tell you, the truth, his worth does not come from another person. His purpose is not defined by romance. A man who lives alone has been given a rare opportunity, an opportunity to strengthen his spirit, to build his character, and to walk a path that is not dictated by the pressures of society, but by a higher calling. Loneliness, my friends, is not a curse if it drives a man toward wisdom. The greatest men in history, thinkers, warriors, and men of faith spent time alone, refining themselves, learning, growing. They were not alone because they were weak. They were alone because they had a greater mission. A man's worth is not defined by romantic relationships, despite what the world may try to convince him. Society often portrays love and companionship as the ultimate measure of fulfillment, making it seem as if a man without a girlfriend or wife is somehow incomplete. From movies to social media, the message is clear: happiness is found in being loved by another person. But this is a dangerous misconception. A man's value does not come from external validation, but from who he is as an individual. His character, his principles, and his purpose are what define him, not whether or not he is in a romantic relationship. Many great men in history lived without the constant presence of romantic companionship, yet they made significant contributions to the world. They were not defined by whom they loved, but by their vision, their discipline, and their unwavering commitment to their goals. A man who lives without a romantic partner is not less of a man. Rather, he has been given an opportunity to grow in ways that many never experience. He has the time to develop his skills, build his mind, and strengthen his spirit without the distractions that often come with relationships. Love is a beautiful thing, but it is not the only thing. Many people enter relationships in search of completion, hoping that another person will fill the void in their hearts. But no person can complete what is lacking within. A man who finds his value in a relationship is building his foundation on something temporary. Relationships can change, people can leave, and emotions can fade. If a man's worth is tied to another person's presence in his life, then when that person is gone, he is left feeling empty because he placed his identity in something outside of himself. True strength comes from within. A man must first understand himself before he can ever hope to share his life with someone else. He must build his character on principles that do not waver: honesty, integrity, resilience, and faith. When he knows who he is and what he stands for, he is not shaken by loneliness. He understands that he is whole on his own, not because someone tells him he is valuable, but because he has cultivated that value through discipline and self-respect. Modern culture pressures men to seek relationships as a status symbol, as if being in love is the ultimate achievement. Men are often judged by whether or not they can attract women, as if that alone determines their masculinity. But the truth is, real masculinity is not about external validation. It is about inner strength. It is about standing firm in one's beliefs, pursuing one's purpose, and refusing to be defined by societal expectations. A man who does not chase after relationships for the sake of proving his worth is a man who truly understands his value. Loneliness can be a powerful teacher. It reveals a man's weaknesses and forces him to confront them. Instead of seeking distractions, he can use his time alone to improve himself, to grow in wisdom, and to build a life that is fulfilling in its own right. A relationship should never be a man's primary source of happiness. Rather, it should be something that complements an already meaningful life. A man who waits for the right relationship, instead of rushing into one out of fear of being alone, is a man who values himself enough to choose wisely. When a man understands that his worth is not defined by whether or not he has a romantic partner, he walks with confidence. He does not settle for relationships that do not align with his values. He does not compromise who he is just to avoid being alone. Instead, he builds a life that is rich with purpose. And when love does come, it finds him whole, not searching for completion, but ready to share the strength he has cultivated within. Solitude is an opportunity for growth, though many perceive it as a burden or a sign of lacking something essential. In a world that constantly pushes people towards social engagement relationships, and the validation of others, being alone is often seen as undesirable. But solitude is not a curse. It is a gift, a chance to reflect, build, and become more than what one currently is. It allows a man to step away from the noise of the world and truly understand himself, his purpose, and his potential. Instead of fearing loneliness, one should embrace it as a season of transformation. When a man is alone, he has the time and space to evaluate his life. He is free from external influences, peer pressure, and the expectations that come with relationships and social circles. This is the perfect moment for deep self-reflection, a chance to ask meaningful questions about personal values, goals, and the direction he wants his life to take. Many people go through life without truly knowing themselves because they are always surrounded by distractions. They never take the time to pause and understand what drives them, what they truly desire, and what kind of life they want to build. Solitude forces this introspection, creating the foundation for real self-awareness and personal growth. Solitude also provides the opportunity to develop self-discipline. Without constant social obligations, a man has the ability to structure his days with purpose. He can dedicate himself to building habits that will serve him in the long run, whether it's improving his health, learning new skills, reading, or deepening his faith. There are no excuses, no external obligations pulling him in different directions. He is in complete control of how he uses his time. Great men throughout history have recognized the value of solitude in strengthening their minds and spirits. They withdrew from society not because they were weak or antisocial, but because they understood that true mastery requires focus, and focus is best achieved in moments of stillness. Creativity and innovation often flourish in solitude. When a man is alone, his mind is free to wander, to think deeply, and to explore new ideas. Some of the greatest writers, inventors, and philosophers in history have produced their best work in isolation. Without the constant chatter of others, the mind gains clarity. Ideas take shape without interference. Many people fail to reach their full potential because they never allow themselves the quiet necessary to nurture their thoughts. Solitude provides the perfect environment for creativity to thrive, for new perspectives to be considered, and for original solutions to emerge. Being alone also strengthens emotional resilience. Many fear solitude because it forces them to confront their own weaknesses, insecurities, and fears. But this confrontation is necessary for growth. When a man spends time alone, he learns to rely on himself. He discovers that his happiness, peace, and fulfillment do not have to depend on others. This builds confidence and emotional independence. He no longer seeks validation from external sources, but finds it within. He becomes comfortable in his own company, and this self-assurance radiates into every area of his life. A man who has mastered solitude does not fear being alone because he knows that his strength comes from within, not from the presence of others. While the world may view solitude as emptiness, it is in reality a time of preparation. It is an opportunity to sharpen the mind, build the body, strengthen the spirit, and refine one's vision. It is a season that, if embraced, can lead to transformation. A man who understands the value of solitude no longer sees it as something to escape, but as something to cherish. It is in these moments of quiet that he truly grows, and when the time comes for him to re-enter the world, he does so as a stronger, wiser, and more complete version of himself. History's greatest men spent time alone, not because they were isolated by force, but because they understood that solitude was essential for growth, wisdom, and the fulfillment of their purpose. From philosophers and prophets to inventors and leaders, the men who shaped history often withdrew from society to think, reflect, and build themselves. Their solitude was not a sign of weakness or loneliness. It was a deliberate choice to cultivate inner strength, clarity of mind, and a deeper connection with their purpose. The ability to embrace solitude and use it for self-improvement is a common trait among those who have left a lasting impact on the world. Many of the world's greatest thinkers and philosophers sought solitude as a way to explore the depths of human existence. Socrates, one of history's most influential philosophers, often spent time alone in deep contemplation, questioning life, morality, and truth. His moments of solitude allowed him to refine his ideas, which later became the foundation of Western philosophy. Similarly, Aristotle and Plato spent countless hours in reflection, formulating thoughts that would influence generations. Their wisdom did not come from constant social engagement, but from taking time to think independently, away from the distractions of daily life. Religious and spiritual leaders also recognized the power of solitude. Many prophets and saints withdrew from society to seek divine wisdom and clarity. Moses spent time alone on Mount Sinai before receiving the commandments that would shape an entire nation. Jesus retreated into the wilderness for 40 days, fasting and meditating, preparing himself for his mission. Prophet Muhammad, P.B.U. Hira, regularly withdrew to the cave of Hira, seeking truth and guidance before receiving revelation. These moments of solitude were not acts of isolation, but necessary periods of preparation that allowed them to return to the world with strength and purpose. Great writers and poets also found inspiration in solitude. William Shakespeare, widely regarded as one of the greatest literary minds in history, spent much of his time alone crafting masterpieces that continue to influence literature today. Similarly, Leo Tolstoy, the author of War and Peace, often retreated into deep solitude to write, reflect, and refine his philosophy on life. These men did not fear being alone. They embraced it as a means to produce work that would outlive them. Their solitude was a space where creativity could flourish without interference, allowing them to think freely and create something meaningful. Inventors and scientists who changed the world also valued solitude. Nikola Tesla, one of the most brilliant inventors of all time, spent long hours alone in his laboratory, developing ideas that were far ahead of his time. His ability to concentrate without distractions led to groundbreaking discoveries in electricity and wireless communication. Albert Einstein, known for his theory of relativity, often spoke of the importance of solitude in thinking deeply about the mysteries of the universe. These men understood that great ideas are not born in crowded rooms, but in moments of quiet reflection. Even political leaders who shape nations recognized the power of solitude. Abraham Lincoln, one of the most revered U.S. presidents, spent countless nights alone, reading, writing, and strategizing about the future of his country. Winston Churchill, a leader who inspired millions during World War II, valued his alone time to plan and make difficult decisions. Their ability to lead came not from constant socialization, but from deep thought, which solitude provided them. Throughout history, the greatest men did not view solitude as emptiness, but as a necessary phase of their journey. It was in these quiet moments that they found wisdom, developed discipline, and created legacies that still influence the world today. Those who fear solitude fail to realize that the men who shaped history did not run from it. They embraced it and used it as a tool to achieve greatness. True fulfillment comes from inner peace and purpose, not from external validation or material success. Many people spend their lives chasing happiness in relationships, wealth, status, and recognition, believing that these things will bring them lasting satisfaction. But history and experience have shown that external achievements alone cannot fill the deeper longing within the human soul. A man can have all the riches in the world, the admiration of millions, and the best comforts life has to offer, yet still feel empty inside. True fulfillment is not about what one possesses or how others perceive him. It is about what resides within his heart and mind. Inner peace and a sense of purpose are what truly give life meaning. Inner peace comes when a man is aligned with his values and lives with integrity. Many people experience turmoil because they are constantly at war with themselves, trying to live up to expectations that are not their own. They chase after things they do not truly want, simply because society tells them they should. But a man who has inner peace knows who he is and does not feel the need to prove himself to anyone. He does not live for the approval of others. Instead, he lives according to his own principles. His heart is not restless because he has found contentment in being true to himself. No amount of wealth or success can compensate for a soul that is not at peace. Having a clear purpose in life is just as essential. Without purpose, even the greatest luxuries feel meaningless. Many people who seem to have it all still suffer from feelings of emptiness because they lack a deeper reason for living. Purpose gives direction. It provides a reason to wake up in the morning with enthusiasm and determination. A man who has found his purpose does not wander aimlessly, nor does he feel lost in the world. He has a mission, something greater than himself to strive toward. This could be serving others, creating something meaningful, seeking wisdom, or dedicating himself to a cause that uplifts humanity. Whatever it may be, a strong sense of purpose transforms an ordinary life into an extraordinary one. People often make the mistake of thinking that fulfillment comes from temporary pleasures. They chase after fleeting moments of happiness only to find that the feeling fades quickly. A new car, a bigger house, or a new relationship may bring excitement for a while, but once the novelty wears off, the emptiness returns. This is because true fulfillment is not external, it is internal. A man who has peace within himself and a clear sense of purpose does not need to constantly seek distractions. He is satisfied because his fulfillment is not dependent on things that can be lost. Hardships and challenges do not shake a man who has found fulfillment through inner peace and purpose. He understands that difficulties are a part of life and that his strength comes from within, not from circumstances. He does not crumble under pressure, nor does he feel lost when things do not go his way. Because his foundation is strong, he remains steady even in storms. Unlike those who rely on external factors for happiness, he does not fall apart when those factors change. True fulfillment is not about having everything. It is about being at peace with what one has and knowing why one is here. It is about living in alignment with one's values, having a mission greater than oneself, and embracing life with clarity and confidence. When a man finds inner peace and purpose, he no longer needs to chase after happiness because it already resides within him. He walks through life with a quiet confidence, unshaken by the world, knowing that his fulfillment is not something that can be taken away. Loneliness can be a preparation phase, though many people see it as a period of suffering or emptiness. It is natural to feel discomfort in solitude, especially in a world that constantly promotes social connections and external validation. However, history, experience, and wisdom show that loneliness is not always a punishment. It can be a necessary phase of growth, transformation, and self-discovery. Instead of resisting it, one should embrace it as an opportunity to prepare for something greater. The time spent alone can become the foundation for strength, wisdom, and a deeper understanding of oneself and the world. Many of the greatest individuals in history have experienced extended periods of loneliness before achieving their greatest successes. During these times, they refined their skills, deepened their knowledge, and strengthened their character. They used solitude to sharpen their vision and prepare themselves for the challenges ahead. A man who finds himself in loneliness should not see it as a failure, but as a training ground. It is in these quiet moments that true growth happens. Without distractions, one can focus on self-improvement, setting goals, and developing the discipline required to achieve them. Loneliness forces a person to confront their inner self. When surrounded by people, it is easy to avoid deep reflection. But in solitude, there is no choice but to face one's thoughts, emotions, and fears. This self-confrontation can be difficult, but it is necessary for personal development. It is an opportunity to heal from past wounds, to understand one's strengths and weaknesses, and to cultivate a mindset of resilience. Many people run from loneliness because it exposes their insecurities. But those who embrace it emerge stronger, wiser, and more confident in who they are. It is also a time to develop emotional and mental independence. Many people rely too heavily on external validation to feel worthy or happy. They seek approval from others, fearing the idea of being alone. But true confidence comes from within. A man who learns to be content in his own company is not desperate for attention or approval. He does not need constant validation to feel valued. This independence makes him stronger in all areas of life. When he eventually enters relationships or social circles, he does so from a place of self-sufficiency, not from a place of neediness. Loneliness can also be a time of preparation for future responsibilities and opportunities. Often people are placed in solitude not as a punishment, but as a period of training. It is a chance to build character, discipline, and vision before stepping into a greater role. Many people pray for success, love, or leadership, but they are not yet ready to handle those things. Their period of loneliness is a time to prepare, to refine themselves so that when the opportunity comes, they are fully equipped to embrace it. Creativity and innovation thrive in solitude. Some of the greatest works of art, literature, and invention have been produced in isolation. When a person is alone, they have the mental space to think deeply, to create, and to innovate without external distractions. Loneliness, when used wisely, can lead to breakthroughs in thinking and personal development. Instead of seeing it as an obstacle, it should be seen as a fertile ground for ideas, productivity, and self-mastery. Ultimately, loneliness is not a permanent state. It is a transition, a preparation phase for something greater. Those who use this time wisely come out of it stronger, more focused, and ready to face the world with confidence. Instead of fearing solitude, one should see it as a necessary period of growth, one that refines, strengthens, and prepares a person for the next stage of life. The right love comes when the time is right, not when it is forced or desperately sought. Many people spend their lives chasing relationships, believing that love is something they must find as soon as possible. They fear being alone and rush into commitments without considering whether they are truly ready or whether the person they are with is the right match. This impatience often leads to heartbreak, disappointment, and emotional exhaustion. But love, like all meaningful things in life, follows its own timing. It does not arrive early, nor does it come too late. It appears when a person is prepared to receive it, when they have grown enough to understand and appreciate its depth, and when the right person is also ready. True love is not about convenience or filling an emotional void. It is about two people who are emotionally, mentally, and spiritually prepared to share their lives in a meaningful way. Many people think that being in a relationship will solve their problems, erase their loneliness, or bring them happiness. But love is not a cure for personal struggles. If someone enters a relationship without first developing inner peace, self-worth, and purpose, they risk using love as an escape rather than as a true connection. The right love comes when a person has learned to be content on their own, when they no longer seek a partner out of desperation, but rather as a complement to an already fulfilling life. Life has a way of guiding people toward what is best for them, even when they do not realize it at the time. Some relationships fail not because love does not exist, but because the timing is wrong. Two people may meet when they are still growing, still figuring out their past, or still healing from past wounds. If they force the relationship to work despite not being ready, it can lead to pain and struggle. However, when love arrives at the right time, it feels natural, effortless, and secure. There is no need for games, no fear of losing the other person, and no sense of rushing to make things happen. It flows smoothly because both individuals are in a place where they can truly appreciate and nurture it. Waiting for the right love does not mean doing nothing. It means using the time to grow, to build character, to pursue passions, and to become the best version of oneself. A person who focuses on self-improvement, on developing wisdom and emotional strength, is far more likely to attract a healthy and lasting relationship. Those who chase love out of fear of being alone often attract relationships that are based on insecurity rather than genuine connection. But when a person stands strong in their individuality, they naturally draw people who respect and admire them for who they truly are. Patience in love is a sign of trust in life's timing. Many great love stories do not happen instantly. They unfold over time when the circumstances align perfectly. Sometimes love comes after years of personal growth, after lessons have been learned, and after past wounds have healed. It may not always happen according to one's personal plan, but it happens when it is meant to. And when it does, it is worth every moment of waiting. Instead of fearing loneliness or rushing into the wrong relationships, one should trust that love will arrive when both people are truly ready. There is no need to settle for less or to force something that is not meant to be. The right love does not require begging, convincing, or suffering. It comes with peace, clarity, and certainty. It enters a person's life at the perfect moment, not when they desperately want it, but when they are truly prepared to cherish and nurture it. A man who lives alone without a girlfriend is not incomplete, nor is he lacking in purpose or fulfillment. He is simply walking a path that allows him to grow, discover himself, and build a life of meaning on his own terms. True strength is not found in constant companionship, but in the ability to stand alone with confidence and purpose. The world may try to convince him that happiness depends on romantic relationships, but he knows that fulfillment comes from within. Whether love enters his life or not, he remains steadfast, focused, and at peace. Because a man who understands his worth does not seek validation, he creates his own destiny.